Welcome back to Chronic TV. I have a very special guest today, Bryce Olson, who is the Marketing Director of Health and Sciences at Intel, and then he's here at South by to talk about his new movement, FACS, Fighting Advanced Cancer Through Songs.
That's right, yeah.
And so do you want to just tell us a bit more about yourself and about FACS?
Yeah, sure. So I am an advanced aggressive prostate cancer patient. I got diagnosed with super aggressive cancer back in 2014, early 2014. And I went through all the standard of care that other advanced cancer patients go through: surgery, chemo, radiation. And guess what? When you're stage 4 advanced cancer, these things only at best extend life a little bit. And the life that you get extended is actually fairly limited because these drugs are so toxic. And so my cancer soon came back and I ran out of options. So I went back to work just thinking, okay, this is going to be my last days. I knew Intel had a healthcare department and I wanted to do something with healthcare. It just felt like the right thing to do, you know, with kind of last days and having a life that means something. I want to give back to healthcare. And what I learned really kind of blew my mind. I learned about all of this emergence of technology and science, that when you combine the two, you can get to the essence of what actually fuels disease down in the DNA, right? So there's this thing called genomic sequencing. And you sequence a person's cancer and you can get to the answer of what's actually fueling it, what's actually driving it. And I learned about all this work that Intel was doing with different, partners of ours. And then I learned about the amazing things happening with the hospitals and the kids with cancer and other patients with cancer, and how it was opening up a whole new plan B for them. And I got kind of upset because nobody was offering this to me. So with this newfound information, I went and talked to my doctors and I said, sequence me, right? I want to get my DNA sequenced. It was just ironic because right at that same time, they were ready to do this for me. They had a platform that was available. Well, guess what? So we sequenced my tumor. We found out that I indeed have these clinically significant mutations, something that we can act on that nobody's talking to me about. So with this data, I find a clinical trial that's testing a new drug to inhibit cancer that's growing along the same pathway as mine. And it was funny, I called them up and I said, I want in, right? It's a phase 1 clinical trial. And they said, sorry, there's no slots available. And I said, yeah, but I have genomic sequencing data. And they said, you have what? I said, I have genomic sequencing data. I know I'm a perfect molecular match to the drug you're trying to test. They said, wow, no one's ever called us with that before. Can you come down and get evaluated? I said, sure. So I show up and I get evaluated. They let me into the trial. I've been on the drugs for 2 years, and I've shut the cancer down entirely.
It's crazy.
So I felt compelled to spread the word about this as much as possible because too many advanced cancer patients don't know anything about this. So I used music as a way to build awareness for a new way to fight cancer, because music is also very therapeutic. I used it as a way to channel a lot of frustration and anger when I was going through the cancer experience. And I was creating these songs, and then the idea hit me after I started having success with this that I got to spread the word. I can use music to reach people that would normally not be paying attention to this. So we took my songs, developed them with a whole bunch of great artists in Portland, put on singers who are really badass, just great singers, much better than I could ever do. And many of these who are cancer patients themselves, cancer survivors. And then we released the album, and we started a movement, essentially, this fighting advanced cancer through songs. And we launched the album 2 days ago at South by, and we're actively recruiting bands who can be part of the next FACS album that can then drive proceeds for our cause, which is around educating and then bringing solutions ultimately to help people. So yeah, I've got this.
Yeah, that's
I've got this album that's FACS, Fighting Advanced Cancer Through Song, and like I said, we're here to build awareness for a new way to fight cancer, to collaborate with other artists and creators to help us, essentially contribute a song, and we'll expose you to this whole new audience that we're starting to assemble, because we're kind of a platform, really, because there's a number of cancer patients that are learning about a new way to fight cancer, and they also dig music.
Yeah.
So we can expose artists to a brand new platform that they may not have access to, who may not know of them otherwise. And in return, we get a song from an artist that can use those proceeds to generate more awareness and help bring solutions to these people. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. And in the description for the video, you can find the links to the iTunes for the album, and then also for streaming. How can artists get involved?
So I've been out, it's funny, I'm going around, I did a bunch of research. I streaming the Austin 100, and I'm going around listening to bands that I first of all, I'm trying to learn the bands that I love. And once I do that, then I'm following them on Twitter and I'm going to their shows. And a lot of times I just go and talk to them and I say, hey, this is what I'm about. Would you be interested in maybe collaborating with us at some point? And they're taking my cards, and hopefully after South by we can reach out to them and do something. But yeah, if you're a band and you've been touched by cancer in some way and you'd love to figure out a way to kind of give back, we would love to work with you. And in turn, I think we can expose you to a new audience that may not know about you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for people who, like myself, who aren't musically talented, how can they help?
Well, so there's a lot of ways. You don't have to be musically talented to help at all. If you have anybody in your life that has been touched by advanced cancer, whether it's a parent, a grandmother, an uncle, an aunt, a friend's mom, and if you're seeing that they are just not getting saved, right? That they are going through treatment, it's toxic, it's chemotherapy, they're sick, their doctors are giving up on them. They're saying, hey, get your stuff in order because you're gonna have to start thinking about your last days. And sometimes you get to a point where they cannot reverse it, but you deserve to have a door opened to give you a fighting chance. So if there's anybody that you know with cancer who has advanced cancer and they're not getting a plan B or having new doors opened, talk to them about genomic sequencing, because this can open the door to a new way to fight cancer. And there are solutions out there that can help them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then can you tell us more about the artists that you collaborated with on this album?
Yeah. So we have a number of just phenomenal musicians in Portland, Oregon that were really kind of the core of the band. So our bass player, drummers, keyboardist, electric guitarist, some of the names. So Peter Knudsen, he's a guitarist and electric guitarist in Portland, just a rising star and the nicest guy. We had a couple drummers, Joe Trump and Shook Black, amazing talents. Eric Lewis, who's now playing with a band called Jelly Bread, out touring. He's just a phenomenal bassist. Mina LaFountain, our keyboardist. And then the singers, unreal, right? So I'll just kind of go in order. So Jonas Black, he's an American Idol Season 10 finalist. He sang the first song. The second song is a emerging artist out of LA named Hennessy, who is unreal. She sounds like Amy Winehouse with dreadlocks. And the piano player is Bob Marley's first cousin, Jimmy Malcolm, and he's just a beautiful piano player. The third song is a singer by the name of Rob Wynia from the band Floater in Portland. Very well known in Portland and kind of the West Coast. He's got a tremendous voice. And the song is sequenced, so it's kind of the theme song of the album, and he does it in such a powerful way. Invincible is an amazing singer whose name is Saida Wright, and she used to be a backup singer with Prince in the Revolution. And so, just incredible voice. Just, you listen to it and it puts the hair on the back of your neck just raises, and it's just amazing.
It's awesome.
The fifth song, Michelle DeCourcy, very well-known fashion designer. She designed Norah Jones's dress when she's holding all the Grammys, and she's also an amazing singer. She's a cancer survivor as well, and so she sings that. Emmanuel Henreid is on here, he's a local guy. So Pete Krebs, who's a two-time Oregon Music Hall of Famer, does a duet with Jenny Conley from the Decemberists on one of the songs. And Brevity is the ninth song, or the eighth song on the album, and that's Martha Davis from the Motels. It's probably maybe a little bit, this is back in the 80s, so you're a little bit younger than I am. But Martha Davis is incredible. I mean, the Motels had 2 top 10 songs, if not more. And she's the sweetest lady. I mean, all these people, by the way, once they heard about the cause and what we're trying to do, they all wanted to figure out a way to give back.
That's amazing.
And, yeah.
That everyone just came together to put it together.
Yeah. Alonzo Chadwick is another phenomenal singer in Oregon. And I think I covered pretty much everybody. I mean,
big list.
Yeah. So.
And then I know Intel was really supportive in this.
Yeah, they were. So Intel is the technology company that really underpins a lot of the sequencing work that goes on. So all the big sequencing instrument providers that go out there and essentially crank out the 3 billion base pairs of DNA. I mean, this is massive data, right? Mm-hmm. Those sequencing providers, they run on Intel, so we help them improve the throughput, because genomic sequencing is one of those things that back in 2003, it took $2 billion in 10 years to do. And now with high volume sequencers, we can get it down to a day and about $1,000. And we're rapidly approaching an era where we can do it for about 100. And then, so that's taking the data off, that's the sequencing of the DNA. And then you've got to align all this stuff and do the analytics, and that takes a little bit of time and effort too. And we work with a big bioinformatics. So informatics is the ability to take this data and do something informative with it. And so we work with big open source and commercial bioinformatics companies to, essentially enable researchers to take on bigger studies and discover newer things about cancer and other diseases, because all disease is diagnosable by DNA now. We know that, right? So like if you're a mother and you've got a child with a rare neurodevelopmental disorder and you don't understand why the kid is sick, and you're on this diagnostic odyssey of taking them from specialist to specialist, and $70,000 later you still don't understand what is making this kid sick, well, the answer's in the DNA. We now have the technology that can go get it. So Intel powers a lot of this stuff, and then we've got a number of other innovative projects going on to try to help all these different centers collaborate and connect up and share data. And so, so from a technology perspective, Intel powers a lot of this stuff. And since I'm an employee over there with cancer, as a spokesperson for them, they've been very supportive as well about my ability to reach the patient audience. So instead of just selling to the hospitals, we need to get the patients who can be best impacted to realize there's a new way to fight disease. And so this ability to use music is kind of a new way to go do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you have them behind you and all the people who've helped out with the album.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Oh my gosh.
Congratulations on speaking at South by and this album.
And here's a copy for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet.
And so like I said, we'll post a link to the album in our description, and then also to your website where people can reach out to you if they're interested in helping out or donating or anything.
Great.
So, awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.